If you're navigating mastectomy and reconstruction and wondering what the two-stage reconstruction process actually looks like and what those first weeks with tissue expanders really feel like, this video is for you. Welcome back to Becoming Beautifully Built. I'm Wendy, a breast cancer survivor 6 years out from my own double mastectomy with implant reconstruction and an oncology nurse of 25 plus years. Today I'm dedicating this entire video to two-stage reconstruction because this journey deserves its own full, honest conversation. The direct-to-implant and tissue flap reconstruction paths will have their own separate videos. These topics are just too important to rush through. So let me start with something I have said many times. In most cases, mastectomy is not an emergency. You have more time than you may feel right now to understand your options, ask your questions, and make the decision that is truly right for your body and your life. So let's take a breath and let's walk through this together. Two-stage reconstruction is the path I know personally and the path that many women will be on. Two-stage reconstruction involves two separate surgeries. In the first surgery at the time of your mastectomy, when all the breast tissue is removed, your plastic surgeon places tissue expanders where your breast tissue was. These are temporary devices that gradually stretch your skin and chest muscle over time to create the space for a permanent implant. Approximately 3 to 4 months later, once the chest muscles and that skin have adequately stretched and healed and have settled, you will have a second surgery to remove those expanders and exchange them for your permanent implants. There are factors that can change this timeline that I will talk about throughout this video. So that's a very general overview, but I want to tell you what it actually looks and feels like during this process. I want to be honest with you about what tissue expanders are, because so many women imagine that they're going to feel similar to what an implant feels like, and they don't. Tissue expanders are made of a firmer plastic material and come in different shapes that mimic the natural three-dimensional curves of a breast. Your plastic surgeon will pick the expander shape that is based on your specific body type and your reconstruction goals. They sit slightly under the chest near the armpit. The reason for this, because we have breast tissue that naturally extends up into the underarm area. So this is important so that the skin area becomes loose enough to support a permanent implant. The expanders are filled with some saline at the time of the mastectomy while still in the operating room. Each expander has its own small port that sits in the upper center of the expander, and that gets accessed with a needle each time the expander is filled. Honestly, much of that area around the incision is numb, so after that mastectomy, so the needle does not really cause much pain when inserted. It feels more like pressure, I would say. The expander filling phase typically starts 2 to 4 weeks after the initial placement of the expander surgery to allow for the incision to heal. The saline fillings will take place weekly or every other week in your plastic surgeon's office. Your plastic surgeon will likely be the one to do the first filling, but after that it is typically done by a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant. The amount of saline injected can vary from week to week. This depends on your personal comfort level. Remember, these fillings are gradually expanding the chest muscle and tissue, preparing this space for that permanent implant. So you may have some chest muscle discomfort during and after the fillings for a few days, especially when taking a deep breath in. It's okay to tell your clinical team that you cannot handle a certain volume at one time, and it's okay to skip a week between fillings to maximize your comfort level. This is not a race. I found taking a muscle relaxer and some Motrin and Tylenol before my appointment and for several days after to really, really be helpful for me personally. This discomfort was actually not something I was prepared for, and I wish I had a prescription for a muscle relaxer ahead of time. So I highly recommend you have this discussion with your plastic surgeon before the expander fillings start. Just something to think about. Many women want to know, how long will the filling phase last? Well, it's not really very cut and dry. It's not a cut and dry answer. It depends on how you're feeling, if you still have surgical drains in place, how well you're tolerating the stretching of the muscles and the skin, and if radiation therapy is part of your treatment plan. All of these factors come into play with this timeline. So the fillings will continue until you feel that your breast size is comfortable for you. Don't be afraid to reach out to your surgeon and ask how they think things are progressing and what your timeline may be. You don't have to suffer in silence, worrying. It's okay to ask every single question that is on your mind. It took me about 6 to 8 weeks of expander filling to get to the size that I felt like I was most comfortable with, and another 3 months until my implant exchange surgery took place. Keep in mind that you will need a bra that can stretch and accommodate this gradual expansion. A regular underwire bra is not going to work during this phase. You will still need a bra with some mild compression or a supportive post-surgical bra. There are a few things I want you to be aware of. One thing nobody told me, and that I wish someone had, is how much your sleep will be disrupted after mastectomy, with having expanders in and even after your implants are exchanged. You cannot sleep on your stomach for a very, very long time. You will need to sleep on your back, and getting comfortable on your back or your side with expanders and implants really takes an adjustment. I know it was a huge adjustment for me. Sleeping in a recliner was genuinely one of the most helpful things for me in those early weeks. It keeps you slightly elevated, which helps with swelling and makes getting up far easier than lying flat in bed. There are nonprofit companies who will lend post-mastectomy patients recliners for a small donation. The nonprofit in my area delivered the chair professionally cleaned to my home and picked it up when I did not feel that I needed it anymore. They gave me a blanket and a journal, and I have to tell you, this meant so much to me. And it truly allowed me to get better sleep while I was healing physically and emotionally. I also want to mention post-mastectomy pillows. They're designed specifically to help guard your chest and support your arms after surgery. So using a pillow against your chest when you cough and sneeze or move suddenly in those first weeks is so important and so helpful. Your incisions need to be protected, and a small pillow held gently against your chest makes a real difference. I want to be honest with you about what going through this process felt like. Waking up from a mastectomy with expanders in place is a strange and an emotional experience. Your chest feels different, the expanders are firm and unfamiliar, and you're healing from major surgery while also beginning to process everything that comes with a breast cancer diagnosis. The expander phase is temporary. I always held on to that. These are not your permanent results. Remember, they're truly not your permanent results. And they're just a bridge to get you there. And when I finally had my exchange surgery and I woke up with my implants in place, it felt different, more like me, more settled. The expander phase is hard, but it's not forever. I'm so happy that you were here with me today, and I will see you in the next video.